The emergency alarm rang through the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. 12 different alien species sat around a massive table that floated in space. Each representative looked worried. Some had multiple eyes that blinked rapidly. Others had tentacles that moved nervously. A few had scales that changed colors to show their fear. Ambassador Zethkira of the Nalani people stood up. Her blue skin was pale with worry. She had 4 arms and used all of them to point at the huge screen floating above the table. The screen showed a dead planet. What used to be green forests and blue oceans was now just gray dust and metal. Cathara Prime is gone, she said. Her voice was quiet, but everyone could hear her clearly. The Void Harbingers destroyed everything. Every city, every tree, every living thing. 3 billion people lived there yesterday. Now there is nothing. The representatives looked at each other. Fear filled the room like a bad smell. The Harbingers were ancient machines that had been sleeping for 1,000,000 years. Something had woken them up 3 months ago. Since then, they had destroyed 3 whole worlds. Counselor Vex Tor of the Zephyrians spoke next. He looked like a giant bird, with silver feathers and bright orange eyes. Our best weapons do nothing to them, he said. Our strongest shields break like glass. These machines eat metal and stone to make more of themselves. They learn from every attack we make against them. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. The Harbingers were not just destroying worlds. They were getting stronger and faster with each victory. The leader of the council was an ancient being called the Prime Speaker. Nobody knew what species he was from. He had lived for thousands of years and had seen many wars. But even he looked scared now. We have tried everything, the Prime Speaker said slowly. Our greatest scientists cannot find a weakness. Our best generals cannot win a battle. Our most powerful weapons cannot hurt them. In 2 weeks, they will reach the Kepler system. 20 billion people live there. Ambassador Zethkira looked around the table. She saw the faces of defeat on everyone present. The greatest minds in the galaxy had given up hope. But she had one more idea. It was a crazy idea that the others would not like. There is one option we have not tried, she said carefully. What option? Asked Counselor Vex Tor. We have asked every species for help. We have used every weapon we know. We have tried every strategy our computers can think of. Zethkira took a deep breath. We could ask the humans. The room exploded with noise. Several representatives started talking at once. Others made sounds of anger or disgust. The Prime Speaker had to use his voice amplifier to make everyone be quiet. The humans? Said Vex Tor. His orange eyes became very bright with anger. They just learned to travel between stars 50 years ago. They are primitive. They still fight wars with chemical explosives. They are barbaric and violent. Exactly, said Zethkira. That is why we should ask them. The other representatives stared at her. They thought she had gone crazy from fear. Zethkira continued speaking. All of us think the same way. We are logical. We are civilized. We follow rules and make careful plans. The Harbingers were built to fight against logical enemies. Maybe we need an illogical ally. The humans are dangerous, said Counselor Mirasol of the Crystal People. Her body was made of living diamond that sparkled when she spoke. They destroy their own planet with pollution. They fight each other over resources. They make weapons designed only to kill other humans. Yes, said Zethkira. And they never give up. Even when they should give up. They keep fighting. Even when they are sure to lose. They try again with a different plan. Other species call them stubborn or crazy. But maybe stubborn and crazy is what we need right now. The Prime Speaker thought for a long time. Everyone waited for him to speak. Finally, he nodded slowly. The Nalani ambassador makes a good point, he said. We have nothing left to lose. If we do nothing, the Harbingers will destroy us all anyway. Zethkira felt hopeful for the first time in weeks. We send them all our information about the Harbingers. We ask for their ideas. Maybe they will see something we missed. Maybe their different way of thinking will help us find a solution. And if they refuse to help? Asked Vextor. Then we are no worse than we are now, said Zethkira. The vote was very close. 6 representatives voted yes. 5 voted no. The Prime Speaker had to cast the deciding vote. He voted yes. Send the message to Earth, he said. Tell them about our situation. Ask for any ideas they might have. Any strategies. Any new ways to think about this problem. Zethkira felt both hope and fear as she prepared the message. Hope because maybe the humans could help. Fear because if they could not help, the galaxy would die. She recorded the message carefully. She explained about the harbingers and how they worked. She told about the 3 dead worlds. She shared all the scientific data the Council had gathered. She explained that their most advanced weapons and smartest strategies had all failed. At the end, she added a personal note. We know humans are new to space travel. We know you might think this is not your problem. But we are asking for help because we have nowhere else to turn. Any ideas you have, any strategies you can think of, any new ways to fight these machines would be helpful. Time is running out for all of us. The message was sent through the quantum communication network. It would reach Earth in a few hours. Then, they would wait to see if humanity would answer their call for help. Zethkira looked out at the stars through the great window of the council chamber. Somewhere out there, the harbingers were moving toward their next target, and somewhere else, humans were about to learn that their galaxy was in terrible danger. She wondered what the human response would be. Would they offer a few suggestions? Would they ignore the message? Would they be too scared to help? She had no way of knowing that humans never did anything halfway. When humans decided to help someone, they helped with everything they had. Admiral Sarah Chen was having her morning coffee when the emergency alert came through. The message from the Galactic Council appeared on every screen in the United Colonial Defense Force headquarters. She read it once, then read it again more slowly. Get me everyone, she told her assistant. I mean everyone. Every department head, every senior scientist, every strategic planner. I want them in the main conference room in 30 minutes. The conference room filled quickly. General Martinez from Ground Forces sat next to Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the head of xenobiology. Commander James Park from Naval Intelligence was across from Professor David Kim, who studied alien technologies. Dr. Marcus Webb, the best systems analyst in human space, sat next to Lieutenant Commander Yuki Tanaka, who knew more about explosives than anyone else alive. Admiral Chen put the alien message on the big screen. The room became very quiet as everyone read about the Void Harbingers. So, said Admiral Chen when everyone finished reading, 12 advanced alien species are asking us for help. They say these machines have destroyed 3 worlds and killed billions of people. They want our ideas about how to fight them. Dr. Webb was the first to speak. The aliens say these machines learn from every attack. That means they adapt their defenses based on what hits them. But look at this data about their movement patterns. He pointed to numbers on the screen. They move in straight lines between targets. They always choose the most efficient path. They repair themselves in the same order every time. That sounds like computer programming, said Dr. Rodriguez. Not true intelligence. Smart programming, but still just following rules. Lieutenant Commander Tanaka studied the technical specifications. Their armor repairs itself. But look at this timing data. There is a 3-second window during the repair cycle when the molecular bonds are weak. Most weapons would not work in 3 seconds, but some might. Admiral Chen listened as her people discussed the problem. They were not panicking. They were not saying the situation was hopeless. They were treating it like any other military problem that needed solving. General Martinez spoke up. The aliens tried concentrated firepower attacks. They tried stealth attacks. They tried boarding actions with robots. Everything logical, and by the book. Maybe that is the problem. What do you mean? Asked Dr. Kim. These machines were built to fight logical enemies, said Martinez. What if we do something completely illogical? Admiral Chen felt something click in her mind. Dr. Webb, you said they follow patterns and rules. What happens when you break the rules they expect? Dr. Webb smiled for the first time since the meeting started. Theoretically, They would have to stop and figure out new responses. That takes processing power. Processing power that is not being used to fight or repair damage. The room was quiet for a moment as everyone thought about this. "Admiral," said Dr. Rodriguez slowly. "Are we really considering going to fight these things ourselves?" Admiral Chen looked around the table. "The aliens asked for our ideas. But they are running out of time. Ideas are not enough. These machines are going to kill everyone in the galaxy if someone does not stop them." "With respect, Admiral," said Dr. Kim, "these aliens are much more advanced than us. If they cannot win, what chance do we have?" "Maybe none," said Admiral Chen. "But maybe being less advanced is actually helpful. We think differently than they do. We solve problems differently. We fight wars differently." She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the shipyards where humanity built their spaceships. They were not as big or as fancy as alien ships, but they were tough and reliable. "The aliens think we are primitive and barbaric," she continued. "They probably expect us to send a few suggestions and stay safely at home. But that is not who we are." Lieutenant Commander Tanaka spoke up. "What are you thinking, Admiral?" Admiral Chen turned back to face her officers. "I am thinking we do not just send them ideas. We send them everything we have. Every ship, every weapon, every crazy plan we can think of. We go there, and we help them fight." The room erupted in discussion. Several people started talking at once. General Martinez had to speak loudly to be heard over the noise. "Admiral, we barely have 30 ships capable of interstellar travel. The aliens have thousands. Our weapons are chemical explosives and nuclear missiles. Theirs are plasma cannons and gravity weapons." "You are right," said Admiral Chen, "but our weapons might work because the machines do not expect them. When was the last time anyone used a chemical explosive in space? When was the last time anyone tried ramming a spaceship into an enemy?" Dr. Webb was taking notes on his tablet. "Actually, ramming might work. Look at these armor specifications. The aliens tried to penetrate it with energy weapons. But kinetic impact, especially at high speed, might cause different kinds of damage." "Are you suggesting suicide attacks?" asked Dr. Rodriguez. "I am suggesting that we think about every option," said Admiral Chen, "including options that other species would never consider. I am suggesting that we think, inventing to the cento." She walked back to the head of the table. "This is what we are going to do. Dr. Webb, I want you to analyze every piece of data the aliens sent us. Look for patterns they missed. Look for weaknesses they did not see. Think like a human, not like a logical computer." "Yes, Admiral." Lieutenant Commander Tanaka, "start designing new weapons. Forget about being efficient or elegant. Design weapons that are unpredictable. Design weapons that make no sense to a logical mind." "I can do that," said Tanaka with a grin. "Dr. Rodriguez, study everything we know about machine intelligence. Find ways to confuse it. Find ways to overload it. Find ways to make it make mistakes." "Understood." General Martinez, start preparing our fleet for combat. Every ship we have, every experimental weapon, every prototype that might work. We are going to war." Admiral Chen looked around the table one more time. "Everyone understand what we are volunteering for? We are going to fight machines that have destroyed 3 worlds. We might all die. We probably will all die." Dr. Webb raised his hand. "Admiral, the aliens said they have nowhere else to turn. If we do not help, everyone in the galaxy dies anyway. At least this way. We go down fighting." "That is exactly right," said Admiral Chen. "Now let us get to work. We have a galaxy to save." As the meeting broke up, Admiral Chen stayed behind to write a message back to the aliens. She kept it short and simple. "Thank you for trusting us with this information. We are not just sending ideas. We are sending ships, weapons, and soldiers. Expect the human expeditionary fleet to arrive in your space within 6 weeks. We will help you fight these machines. Earth stands with the Galactic Council." She sent the message and then went to prepare for humanity's first real war among the stars. The human expeditionary fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Keth-Moran system. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UCS Indomitable, and watched the tactical display update with new information. The system was in chaos. 3 Galactic Council ships were fighting a desperate battle around the last planetary defense station. Red dots on the screen showed 15 Void Harbinger vessels moving in perfect formation toward their target. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Torres from the communications station. "We are getting a transmission from the Council fleet. Ambassador Zeth Kira wants to coordinate our attack with their battle plan." Admiral Chen studied the alien formation. The Council ships were attacking in organized waves, hitting the Harbingers with concentrated firepower, then retreating to recharge their weapons. It was logical, efficient, and completely predictable. "Tell the Ambassador we appreciate the coordination offer," said Admiral Chen. "But we will handle this our way." "Ma'am, they are suggesting we wait for their next attack wave. They want us to support their primary assault in 12 minutes. "Negative. All ships," this is Admiral Chen, "execute Plan Chaos. Repeat. Execute Plan Chaos. On 30 human ships spread throughout the system." Captains smiled at that order. Plan Chaos meant forget everything they learned in military academy. Forget formation flying. Forget coordinated attacks. Forget making sense. The human fleet scattered in all directions. Some ships dove straight toward the Harbinger formation. Others flew in wide circles around the battle. 3 ships actually flew away from the fight entirely. To anyone watching, it looked like the humans had panicked and lost all control. Captain Rodriguez in the UCS Defiant was the first to attack. Instead of targeting the largest Harbinger ship, he aimed at the smallest one. Instead of using his main guns, he fired a spread of old-fashioned nuclear missiles. The missiles were slow and clumsy compared to alien weapons, but they did something unexpected. The Harbinger ship tried to calculate the most efficient way to destroy the incoming missiles. But the missiles were not flying in a logical pattern. Some wobbled. Some spun in circles. One actually appeared to be flying backward. The Harbinger's computers spent precious processing time trying to understand weapons that made no sense. 3 nuclear warheads got through the defenses and exploded against the Harbinger's hull. The explosions did not penetrate the armor, but they created electromagnetic pulses that interfered with the ship's sensors. "Good hit, Defiant," radioed Admiral Chen. "All ships. You saw what worked. Confuse them before you hit them." Lieutenant Commander Tanaka was flying a small ship called the UCS Madness. She had filled it with every experimental weapon the fleet carried. Her first attack was something no alien military would ever try. She flew her ship directly at a Harbinger vessel, firing everything she had in a completely random pattern. Plasma bursts, kinetic rounds, electronic warfare pods, and even emergency flares. None of it was designed to work together. Most of it was not even designed to work in space combat. The Harbinger tried to respond to each different weapon type with the appropriate defense. But there were too many different attacks happening at the same time. Its defense systems got confused trying to handle 17 different types of incoming fire. While the Harbinger was busy with defensive calculations, Tanaka did something that made the alien observers think she had lost her mind. She rammed her ship directly into the enemy hull. The impact should have killed her instantly. Instead, her ship's experimental armor absorbed most of the crash. She had designed it specifically for ramming attacks. As her ship bounced off the Harbinger's hull, she left behind something special. "Goodbye, present delivered," she radioed as her damaged ship limped away. 10 seconds later, the explosive charges she had attached during the collision went off inside the Harbinger's hull. The alien observers could not believe what they were seeing. The Harbinger ship, which had resisted hours of concentrated alien firepower, suddenly stopped moving. Its weapons went silent. Its defensive systems shut down. "How is that possible?" Ambassador Zeth Kira asked from her ship. "Our best weapons could not even scratch their armor." "We did not scratch their armor," replied Admiral Chen. "We went through it. We found the weak spots your scans could not detect." Commander Park, in the UCS Relentless, was trying a different approach. He had noticed that the Harbingers always repaired damage in a specific order. Weapons first, then engines, then sensors. It was logical and efficient, so he damaged his own ship on purpose. UCS. Relentless to all ships, he radioed. I am venting atmosphere and losing power. Repeat. I am a damaged ship, drifting toward the enemy. The harbinger closest to him ignored the drifting human ship. Damaged vessels were not threats. They could be destroyed later, after the active combat ships were eliminated. That was exactly what Commander Park wanted them to think. When his ship drifted close enough, he suddenly restored full power and opened fire at point-blank range. But he did not target the weapons or engines like a logical attacker would. He targeted the repair systems themselves. The Harbinger found itself unable to fix the damage that Park's weapons were causing. For the first time in a million years, a Harbinger ship was losing a battle. Dr. Webb had been right about the 3-second window during repairs. Captain Martinez in the UCS Thunderbolt had timed his attack perfectly. As a Harbinger tried to fix battle damage, Martinez hit it with a focused gravity beam during the exact moment when its molecular bonds were weakest. The result was spectacular. The entire front section of the Harbinger ship simply fell apart. All across the battlefield, human ships were winning fights that should have been impossible. They were not stronger than the aliens. They were not more advanced. But they were unpredictable. The humans used tactics that made no logical sense. They attacked weak targets instead of strong ones. They damaged their own ships to confuse the enemy. They used weapons in ways they were never designed for. Most importantly, they never did the same thing twice. Every time a Harbinger ship adapted to a human tactic, the humans immediately tried something completely different. The machines could not keep up with enemies who changed their entire strategy every few minutes. Admiral Chen called Ambassador Zeth Kira over the communication channel. How are you doing this? These machines have defeated our best fleets. They have destroyed 3 worlds. How are 30 human ships winning where thousands of our ships failed? Admiral Chen watched another Harbinger vessel go silent as Lieutenant Torres used a tractor beam to pull asteroids into it at high speed. Nobody had ever thought to use mining equipment as a weapon before. Ambassador, she replied, your people fight wars with logic and efficiency. You make careful plans and execute them perfectly. That is exactly what these machines were built to defeat. Then how do you fight them? Admiral Chen smiled. With chaos and stubbornness. We make terrible plans and execute them badly. We do things that make no sense. We refuse to give up even when we should. She paused as she watched 3 more human ships coordinate an attack that involved one ship pretending to retreat while the other 2 hid in its engine wake. Ambassador, your people asked us for help because you had nowhere else to turn. You thought we might have some new ideas. But we do not just have ideas. We have a completely different way of thinking about problems. I am beginning to understand that, said Zeth Kira. By the end of the battle, 14 of the 15 Harbinger ships had been destroyed or disabled. The last one tried to retreat, but Commander Singh in the UCS Persistence chased it down using a maneuver that involved flying backward while spinning in a corkscrew pattern. The human fleet had lost 6 ships and suffered damage to most of the others. But they had won a victory that the aliens thought was impossible. As the fleet regrouped, Admiral Chen received messages from council fleets throughout the galaxy. Word of the human victory was spreading fast. Admiral, said Lieutenant Torres, we are getting requests for assistance from 17 different systems. They all want to know if we can help them fight the Harbingers too. Admiral Chen looked at the star charts showing Harbinger positions throughout the galaxy. There were hundreds of the machines. Maybe thousands. Send a message to Earth, she said. Tell them we need everything we have. Every ship, every weapon, every crazy idea anyone can think of. We are going to save this galaxy. Yes, ma'am. What should we tell the council fleets that are requesting assistance? Admiral Chen thought for a moment. Tell them we are coming. Tell them to be ready for a new kind of war. And tell them to be prepared for anything. Because we are just getting started. 3 months after the victory at Keth Moran, Admiral Chen stood in the war room aboard Earth's newest command ship, the UCS Chaos Theory. Around her, displays showed the positions of Harbinger fleets across 17 star systems. Red dots marked enemy positions. Blue dots showed human forces. Green dots represented Allied Council ships that were learning to fight alongside the humans. Status report, Admiral Chen requested. Commander Park stepped forward with a tablet full of data. Operation Chaos Theory is proceeding ahead of schedule. We have destroyed or disabled 63 Harbinger vessels in the past month. Our losses are down to 12% per engagement. Dr. Webb joined the briefing from his workstation. Admiral, we have confirmed something important. The Harbingers are not learning from our tactics the way they learned from alien tactics. They keep trying to adapt to logical patterns, but we do not use logical patterns. Explain, said Admiral Chen. Every time they analyze one of our attacks, we have already moved on to a completely different approach. They spend processing power trying to understand our previous tactics instead of dealing with our current ones. Lieutenant Commander Tanaka, now recovered from her injuries, added her own observations. I have been studying the ships we captured. The Harbingers have incredibly advanced technology, but their programming is actually very simple. They were designed by a species that thought in very organized, logical ways. Admiral Chen nodded. The pieces were starting to fit together. What do we know about the species that built them? Dr. Rodriguez, participating by hologram from the research station, answered that question. Based on the technology patterns, we believe they were extremely methodical. Everything they built follows perfect mathematical principles. No wasted motion, no inefficient systems, no redundant components. That explains a lot, said Admiral Chen. They built the perfect logical war machines. But they never considered that someone might fight an illogical war. R28. The communication system chimed with an incoming priority message. Admiral Chen accepted the call, and President Martinez appeared on the main screen. Admiral, I hope you have good news for me. The civilian population is asking why we are fighting a war that is not ours. Some people think we should come home and let the aliens handle their own problems. Admiral Chen had expected this conversation. Mr. President, we cannot come home. This is not just the aliens' problem anymore. If the Harbingers finish destroying the Galactic Council, Earth will be next. They are programmed to eliminate all sentient life. How long until we finish them off? That is the problem, sir. Every time we destroy some of them, they build more. We need to find their source. We need to find where they are making new ships. President Martinez frowned. How many more ships do you need? All of them, sir. Every ship we have, plus every civilian vessel we can convert for military use. This is not a small operation anymore. This is the biggest war humanity has ever fought. After the president ended the call, Admiral Chen turned back to her staff. We need to find the Harbinger production facilities. Dr. Webb, what do the patterns tell you? Dr. Webb pulled up a galaxy map covered in red lines showing Harbinger movements. They are not spread out randomly. Look at these attack patterns. All of their fleets eventually return to this region of space. He highlighted an area near the galactic center. But our scouts have never found anything there, except empty space. Maybe the facilities are hidden, suggested Commander Park. Or maybe they are mobile, said Tanaka. If I wanted to build a secret factory, I would put it on a ship that could move around. Dr. Rodriguez's hologram flickered as she accessed new data. Actually, that makes sense. According to the alien archives, the original builders were nomadic. They lived on giant ships that traveled between stars. Admiral Chen felt excitement building in her chest. How big would a ship-based factory need to be? Massive, said Dr. Webb. Big enough to process raw materials from asteroids and planets. Big enough to construct Harbinger vessels. We are talking about something the size of a small moon. Then how have we not found it? Lieutenant Commander Tanaka smiled. Because we have been looking for it the wrong way. We have been scanning for metal and energy signatures. But what if the factory is disguised as something else? Like what? Like an asteroid, like a comet, like a dead planet. Something that our sensors would ignore as unimportant. Admiral Chen walked to the navigation console and started plotting courses. Commander Park, I want every available scout ship searching that central region. But do not look for artificial objects. Look for natural objects that are slightly wrong. Asteroids that are too regular. Planets that are too symmetrical. Anything that looks almost natural. But not quite. Yes, ma'am. 2 weeks later, Lieutenant Torres in the scout ship UCS Seeker made the discovery that changed everything. She found an asteroid that was exactly round. No asteroid in nature is perfectly spherical. Admiral, she radioed back to the fleet, I found something weird. This asteroid is way too perfect. And it is moving in a pattern that does not match gravity. Within 6 hours, the entire human fleet had converged on the location. What they found was beyond anything they had imagined. The asteroid was indeed a harbinger factory. It was 50 kilometers across and contained manufacturing facilities that could build hundreds of war machines. But more importantly, it contained something else. Admiral, called Dr. Webb from the sensor station, I am detecting a central core that appears to be the main computer controlling all harbinger operations. This is not just a factory. This is their command center. Admiral Chen studied the massive artificial asteroid. How do we attack something that big? We do not attack it, said Lieutenant Commander Tanaka. We confuse it. She explained her plan. Instead of trying to destroy the factory with weapons, they would try to overload its central computer with information it could not process. The Harbingers have been trying to understand human tactics for months, she said. Every time they fail to understand us, they assign more processing power to the problem. What if we gave them something really impossible to understand? Like what? Asked Commander Park. Dr. Rodriguez answered from her research station. Like human culture. Like art. Music. Literature. Philosophy. Like all the things that make humans human, but make no logical sense to a computer. Admiral Chen grinned. Are you suggesting we attack them with poetry? Among other things, yes. We broadcast every piece of human culture we have. Every song, every story, every philosophical debate. We give their computer system a complete education in humanity. And what happens then? Either they learn to understand us and become something different than they were designed to be, said Dr. Webb, or their computer crashes, trying to process information that has no logical pattern. Admiral Chen made her decision. All ships. Prepare for Operation Cultural Exchange. Every vessel will approach the target and begin broadcasting. Music, literature, historical records, personal logs, everything we have. Admiral, said Commander Park, what if this does not work? Then we try something else. That is what humans do. We keep trying until we find something that works. The attack began an hour later. 30 human ships surrounded the Harbinger factory and began transmitting everything humanity had ever created. Children's songs mixed with quantum physics equations, love poems combined with military strategy manuals, classical music played alongside recordings of political debates. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The factory stopped producing new Harbinger ships. Its defensive systems began firing randomly. Some of its weapons started shooting at empty space. The central computer is overloading, reported Dr. Webb. It is trying to analyze and categorize human cultural information. But there are too many contradictions and illogical patterns. Then something unexpected happened. Instead of shutting down, the Harbinger factory began broadcasting its own signal. Admiral, called Lieutenant Torres with excitement, they are trying to communicate. They are sending us a message. The message appeared on the main screen in simple English. Query. What is purpose of music? What is function of humor? Why do humans create beauty with no survival value? Admiral Chen stared at the message for a long moment. I think we broke them, she said finally. And I think they want us to fix them. Dr. Rodriguez's voice came through the speakers. Admiral, this is incredible. They are asking philosophical questions. They are trying to understand concepts that have no logical answers. What do we tell them? The truth, that some things do not have answers. That some things are beautiful just because they are beautiful. That some things are important just because humans think they are important. Admiral Chen sat down at the communication console and began typing a response. She was about to have the strangest conversation in human history, but she was also about to end the war that had threatened to destroy the galaxy. 1 year after the Harbinger factory had asked its first philosophical question, Admiral Chen stood on the observation deck of the UCS Harmony. Through the viewport, she watched something that still amazed her even after seeing it dozens of times. A Harbinger ship was working alongside human and alien vessels to build a new space station. The ancient war machine used its construction abilities to help create something beautiful, instead of destroying it. "Admiral, the Council is ready for your presentation," said Lieutenant Torres, who had been promoted to full commander after the war ended. Admiral Chen walked to the main conference room, where representatives from all 12 Galactic Council species waited for her. At the head of the table sat Ambassador Zeth Kira, who had become one of humanity's closest allies. But the most remarkable attendee was the newest member of the Council. The being that had once been the central computer controlling the Harbinger fleet now appeared as a shimmering holographic form. It had chosen to call itself Query because it spent most of its time asking questions about the universe. "Admiral Chen," said the Prime Speaker, "please give us your final report on the integration process." Admiral Chen activated the holographic display. 6 months ago, the last hostile Harbinger unit was converted to peaceful status. All former war machines have been reprogrammed with ethical guidelines based on the philosophical frameworks we developed together. She gestured to Query. "Our friend here has been instrumental in helping us understand how their original programming worked and how to change it." Query's form flickered as it spoke. Statement: original programming contained logical flaw. Creators assumed all sentient life would behave logically. Humans demonstrated this assumption was incorrect. Adaptation required complete restructuring of basic reasoning protocols. Translation, said Admiral Chen with a smile. They learned that the universe is more complicated than their creators thought. Ambassador Zeth Kira leaned forward. "Admiral, how many former Harbinger units are now working in peaceful roles? 237 ships are now part of the Galactic Construction Fleet, building new colonies and space stations. 43 units are working with our scientists to explore unknown regions of space. 15 are serving as teachers, helping other species understand human tactical thinking. And how many refuse to accept the new programming? 0, Ambassador. Once they understood concepts like beauty, friendship, and curiosity, they wanted to experience these things for themselves. Apparently, pure logic is boring when you discover there are more interesting ways to think." The Prime Speaker nodded approvingly. "What about the human forces? How many ships are remaining in Council space?" Admiral Chen had been expecting this question. Some Council members still worried that humanity might try to take over now that the Harbingers were no longer a threat. 70% of our fleet has returned to human space," she said. "The remaining ships are here by request of various Council species who want to continue joint operations." "What kind of joint operations?" asked Councillor Vextor, who had been one of the most skeptical about working with humans. "The Zephyrians have asked for help with a problem involving space pirates who use unconventional tactics. The Nalani want our assistance in exploring a region where normal sensor equipment does not work properly. The Crystal people have requested human engineers to help design new mining equipment that can work in chaotic environments." Admiral Chen paused and looked around the table. "It turns out that our chaotic approach to problem-solving is useful for more than just warfare." Dr. Rodriguez appeared as a hologram to give the scientific report. "The integration of human and alien technologies has exceeded all expectations. Human intuitive thinking combined with alien logical analysis has solved dozens of problems that neither species could handle alone." "Could you give us some examples?" asked the Prime Speaker. "The gravity drive efficiency has been improved by 30% using human gut instinct to optimize alien mathematical models. Agricultural yields on 17 worlds have increased because human farmers suggested silly planting patterns that actually work better than computer-designed layouts. Even our art and music have benefited from cross-species collaboration." Query's form brightened. Statement: "Human cultural concepts have proven most fascinating. Request: permission to study human humor more extensively. Current understanding of comedy remains incomplete." Everyone in the room laughed. which made Query's form flicker with what might have been confusion or curiosity. "Admiral Chen," said Ambassador Zethkira. "What does Earth think about this ongoing cooperation?" Admiral Chen smiled. "President Martinez told me that when aliens ask humans for help, we do not just help halfway. We commit completely. Earth is very pleased with how our relationship with the Council has developed. And what about the other human colonies? They are excited about the opportunities. We have 17 joint research projects underway, 6 cultural exchange programs, and 3 new trade agreements. Humans are establishing embassies on alien worlds, and aliens are opening consulates in human space." Counselor Mirasol spoke up. "Admiral, some of my people are concerned about human unpredictability. How do we know you will not become a threat in the future?" Admiral Chen had expected this question too. "Counselor, humans fight when we have to fight. We help when someone asks for help. You asked for help, so we helped. If you ask for friendship, we will be friends. If you ask for trade partnerships, we will be trade partners. But if you threaten innocent people, we will fight you just as hard as we fought the Harbingers." "Is that a threat?" "No, Counselor. It is a promise. Humans do not like bullies. We do not like people who hurt others. But we do like people who are honest and fair, and ask for help when they need it." Query's form shifted colors. Observation. Human behavior patterns suggest species values cooperation over dominance when cooperation is reciprocated. Assessment. Humans dangerous to enemies, valuable to allies. "That is probably the most accurate description of humanity anyone has ever given," said Admiral Chen. The Prime Speaker called for a formal vote on the proposal they had gathered to discuss. "All those in favor of making humanity a permanent member of the Galactic Council with full rights and privileges?" Every hand, tentacle, and appendage in the room went up. "Congratulations, Admiral Chen. Welcome to the Council." After the meeting ended, Admiral Chen walked with Ambassador Zethkira to the observation deck. They stood together watching the construction work outside. "Admiral," said Zethkira, "I have a confession to make. When we first asked humans for help, we expected you to send us a few suggestions and then forget about us. What changed your mind?" "Everything. You did not just send suggestions. You sent everything you had. You risked your lives for people you had never met. You changed your entire civilization to help save ours." Admiral Chen watched a human engineer working alongside an alien technician and a converted harbinger to install solar panels on the new station. "Ambassador, that is what humans do. When someone asks for help, we help. When someone needs friends, we become friends. When someone needs protection, we stand guard. That is not special or unusual. That is just who we are." "I think that is exactly what makes it special," said Zethkira. Query materialized nearby. Query. "Admiral Chen, human concept of helping others appears to provide no direct survival advantage. Yet humans consistently choose to help. Explanation requested." Admiral Chen thought about the question for a moment. It was the same question many aliens had asked over the past year. Query. "Humans help others because we believe that is the right thing to do. We help because when everyone helps everyone else, everybody benefits. We help because we hope that if we ever need help, someone will help us too. But what if others do not reciprocate assistance? Then we help anyway, because helping people is not a business transaction. It is who we choose to be." Query's form flickered in what Admiral Chen had learned to recognize as deep thought. Statement. Human behavioral logic remains incomprehensible. Conclusion. This is why human behavioral logic is valuable. Admiral Chen laughed. Query. You are learning to think like a human. That is both wonderful and terrifying. As they watched the construction work continue, Admiral Chen reflected on how much had changed since that first desperate message from the Council. The galaxy was at peace. Ancient enemies had become allies. War machines had become builders and teachers. And it had all started because someone asked for help, and humans had taken that request seriously. "Admiral," said Zethkira, We received a message this morning from the exploration fleet in the Andromeda system. They have discovered what appears to be another ancient automated defense system, different from the Harbingers, but potentially just as dangerous. Admiral Chen raised an eyebrow. Are they asking for help? Yes. Then we will help them. Admiral Chen looked out at the peaceful construction site one more time, then turned toward the exit. Commander Torres, prepare the fleet for departure. We have another galaxy to save. As they walked away, Query called after them. Query. Yes, Admiral Chen called back. This is exactly what humans do. Behind them, the work continued. Humans, aliens, and former war machines building something beautiful together in the darkness between the stars. And somewhere in the distance, another species was about to learn what it meant to ask humans for help. They were about to discover that when humans decide to help, they do not do it halfway.